Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. Let that sink in. For 20 years of my life, I was waiting for somebody to give me a magic pill of motivation. I was waiting to get a handout, waiting to get a shortcut. I thought somebody would pop up in my life and carry me to the finish line, take me to the promised land. And that's not going to happen. That will never happen. And luckily, you see this video, so today we can make a change. And you can stop hoping and wishing that all your dreams will come true and one day everything will randomly change and the motivation will come and somebody will pop up and carry you to where you want to go. It's not going to happen. So today we need to start taking accountability for our actions. We need to take ownership of our lives. We need to take control. We need to take control. Because once you do that, then at least your life is up to you. You're not hoping, you're not wishing. You know that if you put in the work, you can make it happen. So I wasted a lot of time hoping and wishing and thinking fate was going to magically show up one day and do its thing. And it will if you're doing the actions. If you're doing the actions, then you'll get to a breaking point. But if you're never doing anything and you're just hoping and wishing, that fate's never going to happen. That where you're meant to be, you're never going to get there. So if you're waiting to be saved, you'll be waiting forever. You'll be waiting forever. Okay? So right now you probably have some limiting beliefs and some negative things you've been telling yourself that need to be changed. And it starts with taking accountability for where you're at. Understand that where you're at today is a direct correlation for the work that you have done or haven't done the rest of your life. If you're in a great position right now, you're very happy with every aspect of your life, that just means that you've done the right things years ago, months ago, weeks ago, decades ago. Okay? And if you don't have anything and you're so sad about your life and you think everything's miserable and all that is you haven't done the work. You haven't done the work. Okay? So you have to take ownership and accountability for why you are where you are. If you don't like your life, it's not anything other than you haven't done what's necessary. It's not your genetics. It's not the cards you were dealt growing up. It's not where you're from. It's not your height. It's not your race. It's none of that. It's that you simply haven't done what's necessary to have a great life yet. But this all can change, and it starts with taking accountability. Stop the excuses. You can't blame anybody for anything, okay? As a man, you have to start taking accountability for everything, no matter the situation, even if it technically wasn't your fault. You have to take accountability. I remember growing up, my dad told me, I'm the oldest sibling. I have a younger brother and younger sister. He said, if any of them ever cry or get mad or get hurt, it's your fault. And at the time, I was so mad. What do you mean? I wasn't even doing anything. I wasn't there. He said, it doesn't matter. It's your fault. If they get in trouble, if they do something bad, if they get hurt, it's your fault. And so now I understand that. Now I understand that as the leader, you have responsibilities. You have to take accountability. You could have prevented a situation. Even if I wasn't there when my younger sister got hurt, let's say. Well, why was she doing that? Why was she doing that in the first place? Did I inspire her to go and do something that could get hurt? How bad was it in the first place? Why did it happen? What led to it? What could I have done differently? Even if you weren't responsible, you still have to take accountability, because this is just how you take control. As a man, you need to have control, okay? So you have to start taking accountability for everything. For everything. If you could have prevented a situation somehow and you didn't, it's your fault. Even so, I'm glad my dad taught me that lesson, even though it took me so long to understand that if they get in trouble, if they get hurt, it's my fault. And so now everything that happens in my life is my fault. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. If somebody scams me $30,000 for some spider sweatshirts in the sneaker business, that's my fault. It's my fault. Why didn't I quadruple check? Why did I send the money too early? What could I have done differently? Why did I fall for this? You know, I got scammed, but it's my fault. It's always my fault. And so this is how you start taking control of your life, because when it's your fault, you just have control over everything. It's not leaving up to chances. It's there's always something you can do about it. There's always a way to get better from every mistake, from every loss, from every situation. Even if it wasn't directly your fault, you have to take accountability. And this puts the ball in your hands. You want to be in the arena with the ball in your hands. And that's the first step. And so, no blaming anybody else, no blaming your situation, no no blaming external factors. There's always something you can do. There's always something you can do. And this is what's going to separate you from the pack. Most people will never do this. Most people will never take control of their whole life and accept that they are where they are, because most people need an excuse for the reason that they haven't done the work that they know they could have done, they know they should have done, they wanted to do, and they just didn't have it in them, and they accepted it, and so they need an excuse. When you talk to most people, you'll understand that they all have a reason why they didn't do this. They all have a reason why they didn't do that. Instead of they just didn't do the work, it's that, oh yeah, they were in a rainy environment for 3 months, seasonal depression, and it took me an extra 30 minutes to get out of bed in the morning because of that, and so I didn't have my time before work. It's always something. It's always something. Seasonal depression nonsense. They're always blaming something. Okay, so this is what we're not going to do, because we need to do the opposite of what most people do. And you need to separate yourself. And by never blaming anybody, no matter what happens, that's a big step in the right direction. You need to get around the right people who are thinking this way as well. You can't be around the people who are cementing these beliefs into you that somebody's going to save you, that if you're at a low point for long enough, the rich or the government or somebody's going to just give you a free handout. It's not going to happen. Nobody cares about your potential. Nobody cares about your talent. Nobody cares about anything really other than results. If you don't get it done and don't do what you said you were going to do and become who you said you were going to become, it doesn't matter. You could have had all the what ifs. You can have all the excuses and all the reasons, but nobody's going to respect that. Results are what matters. Actions are what matters. So getting around people who take action, getting around people who don't make complaints and don't make excuses and don't have time for the negativity, and surround themselves with the right circles, because who you're around is shapes so much of you. So if you're still around these guys that just are thinking somebody's going to save them, and hoping and waiting for their dreams to come true, that rubs off on you. So who you're around really matters. So when I had the 9 to 5, I had to be around these people who had limiting beliefs and a bad mentality and didn't never take action, had excuses, had complaints. I had to be. So, and you probably do right now too. You don't have the luxury of having the freedom of going where you want and being only around who you want to be and curating your environment. You probably don't have that luxury. For so long I didn't. And then after I left the 9 to 5, I had more freedom, but I still had to be in certain places with certain people at certain times daily. And so I had more freedom, but I was still getting these limiting beliefs dragged onto me. And now I have ultimate freedom to where I don't have to be around anybody who isn't sharing the same beliefs and the same values and believing that you can take control of your life. I just don't have time for it. That can't rub off on me. And so now I have the luxury, but when you don't have the luxury, that's gonna take a toll. So you got to get out of that. You got to get a skill. You got to learn how to make money so you don't have to be around certain people all the time, because all the people who are working the job that you're working, they all have these limiting beliefs. They've been there for 10, 20 years. What? Why? Are they not doing anything? Yeah, they're not doing anything. They say they want it, they make all the excuses, but they haven't done anything. So you can't be around that. You can't be around that. So if you have to right now, if you're in school, if you're working the 9 to 5, it's going to take some time, but you got to learn how to make money. You got to learn how to make money another way so you can choose who you're around, because who you're around shapes you a lot. Taking action is what separates people who are in control and who aren't. If you're not taking action and you're hoping and wishing, then you're a lost cause. You're a lost cause. But when you start taking action and you put one foot in front of the other, and you don't blame anybody, you don't make excuses, you want the work, you want the journey, then then you're in full control. You're in full control of every situation. You're in the game. Like I said, we want to be in the game with the ball in our hands. At least I'm playing quarterback. I've always only wanted to be quarterback. I only want to be the pitcher, shortstop. I only want to have the ball in my hands with 5 seconds left. I only want to be the lead. I've never wanted to be some sidekick or some left fielder. I want the ball in my hands. Okay? So, when you start taking action, when you stop complaining, when you start understanding that everything is your fault, and the position that you're in today is not your genetics, and it's not the circumstances, it's not the bad cards you were dealt, then you have the ball in your hands. Then you're like, I don't know, Lamar scrambling left with a couple options. He can run it, he can pass it, he can take a little loss of 2 if he needs to, and be smart if nobody's open down the field. He has the ball in his hand. Okay, so I want the ball in my hands. And it starts with taking full accountability for your life. Nobody's coming to save you. When you start taking action, when you work to make money so you can get around the people that you want, and you can have freedom of who you're around and where you're at, instead of having to be around the average Joe 24/7, you can start curating your environment, getting into the rooms that will help you grow and will help cement this belief that nobody's coming to save you. But, I'm very glad you saw this video today, because for a lot of people, they never wake up their whole lives. They're always thinking that somebody's coming to save them. They always have an excuse, and they just give up. So we're going to understand that no point in giving up. You have one life. There's no final outcome. It's always ups and downs. Every mountain, you climb one, and there's going to be another one to come. So understand that it's up to you, and however many mountains you want to climb is all going to depend on the work that you do, the beliefs that you have, who you're around, and it all starts with taking accountability, taking full ownership of everything in our lives, and understanding that nobody's coming to save you. If you want to get to the next level, if you want to become the man that you want to be, become the man you were made to be, there's nobody to blame other than yourself. Get to work. Come on, let's do this thing.